don't have a place to be vulnerable. We have other men we can talk to. And this is no slight towards women, but women have church. A lot of men don't go to church. They allow men to go before the Lord. So where do men go to? They have their accomplishments. They have their jobs. They have the things they hold pride in, thinking that's going to help them. In long haul, it doesn't. It's an empty void sometimes.
Who's ready for some Girl Talk?
Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Nicole D. Miller, author, blogger, speaker, hybrid book publisher, and your host. At Girl Talk, we are a safe space for female leaders to engage in healing and edifying conversation. This is your Me Too, empathetic corner, where we have authentic and transformative dialogue designed to uplift and connect high-achieving women like you. Are you looking for a safe space to cultivate sisterhood with other like-minded female bosses? Leave your cape at the door and join the conversation. Welcome back to Girl Talk. I'm your host, Nicole D. Miller. Today, we're giving the fellas the mic in our final part to our conversation, Something for the Fellas. In our first ever all-male panel, we created space for Black men to openly share their experiences. From mental health to heartbreak to inner city trauma and the vital role of mentorship, these incredible men are peeling back the layers and letting us in on their stories. Join us in hearing from community leaders Jumar Newell of Launch Arts Media, Brandon Gates of the Pull-Up Experience, Lawrence D. Adams of the Thinking Class Podcast, Stephen D. Jackson of Alienized Photos, and Walt Patton of Ghetto Therapy. You can catch their contact info in the show notes, along with our sponsors, The Land, Literary Cleveland, Ghetto Therapy, and N.D. Miller Publishing. If you've ever wondered what vulnerability, resilience, and strength sound like from men openly sharing, this episode is for you. In part 3 of this segment, the men start off by answering the question, do men have outlets to tend to their mental health? Is the narrative changing for Black men? Okay, now it's time to hear what the men have to say. So, grab your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, and join the conversation.
Like we said earlier, we don't have a place to be vulnerable. We have other men we can talk to. And this is no slight towards women, but women have church. A lot of men don't go to church. A lot of men don't go before the Lord. So where do men go to? They have their accomplishments. They have their jobs. They have the things they hold pride in, thinking that's going to help them. In long haul, it doesn't. It's an empty void sometimes. So I'll advise any man feeling that to please seek the help out.
I'll go. Yeah. So I always said leadership don't have a gender, right? It's always about whoever got the best vision, that's who we follow, whether it's male or female. Whoever got the best vision, that's who we follow. It's no matter the gender. I think we get caught up a lot of times on gender. And I'm saying that because I have a lot of strong women around me, right? So my mentor is a lady by the name of Kim Foreman. Anybody know Kim Foreman in here? Yeah, so Kim Foreman is the CEO of Environmental Health Watch and Lead Safe Cleveland. This is who gave me the game, who set me down and just told me everything that I needed to learn, right? So she pointed me in directions, and she didn't really show me much. She didn't tell me much. She showed me, right? So then I have another lady by the name of Maisha Watkins. Y'all know Maisha Watkins? She's the executive. Yeah, so she's the executive she's the executive director at Cleveland Peacemakers, and she's also a licensed counselor. Graduated from Harvard, and, she facilitates sessions at Ghetto Therapy. Of course, my mom, right? My mom is just it, right? She's the third generation of these projects. My mother just, strong. I seen her overcome so many things. She went to federal penitentiary, did 3 years, came home, got her stuff together. Now she runs a nonprofit called Survive to Live. She's a case manager for a place called People, Places, and Dreams. So my mom is like the person where I probably get it from the most. And then I have another person by the name of Shannon Yarbrough. Now, Shannon Yarbrough is the first licensed therapist to ever come to Ghetto Therapy. She's a Reiki practitioner, and she's also an occupational therapist. I just had a Reiki session yesterday, and that's just focusing on your body chakras, right? Massaging toxins in different areas on your body chakras, which we have about 7, right, through your body. I utilized all forms of therapy. There's a guy by the name of Jerome Cash. Anybody know Jerome Cash? Yes. Right. He does EMDR, right? Eye movement desensitization, right? He does that, EMDR. And I utilize all forms of these therapies to keep me grounded in mental health because, again, I don't really do panel discussions. The last panel discussion I did was a couple years ago, and the last podcast I did was with Brandon. So it's like I don't really do them that much, right? But I utilize these sessions to dig deep into myself. I'm not here to give any advice, right? I'm just here to tell y'all what I went through and how I'm overcoming it now. Like I'm going through it every day still. So that's what I'm utilizing this session for. It's like a therapy session for me and what works for me. Again, like I said, I started Ghetto Therapy because I needed the most.
So I would like to say, like, my coping mechanism has always been my journal, my notepad, pen and paper, just writing my thoughts out, creating from it, writing music, poetry, even scripts. And I think rest has been key to overcoming, mental health and also that burnout, that drain. Because I do a lot, I honestly do. But those reminders, did you get rest? We even have, did you get rest? Did you get rest? Like, it's a whole bunch of people asking me, did I get my rest? Did you sleep today? How much? Because they know how much I do and how much I sacrifice because, like you said, those accomplishments sometimes get in the way and be distractions. But, it's just taking time for yourself, taking those down moments, taking a break, turning your phone off, getting off social media, and I try to announce it sometimes, but sometimes I just do it without, no communication. Like, I just take that time to myself.
So the question was about mental health, right? And black men, please.
In our discussion, Taking Care of Us, we talked about the need for female leaders to tend to our minds, bodies, souls, and overall health. As a male leader, is there an emphasis on this and outlets in place for you to do this? What do you have in place that assists you in taking care of your health? Has the societal narrative changed for men to tend to their mental health, specifically for black men to tend to their mental health?
I think in the present current years that the emphasis has changed for particularly black men to be able to take care of themselves. In the past, I'm an 80s and 70s and 80s kid. We were just taught to go, no matter what, just go. But as the uptick of everything that's going on, I'm noticing a lot of men taking the time to pause. Like in any good music, you have to have that perfect pause to go to the next what? Note. And I think a lot of times, a lot of us have not been good music to the world around us because we have not taken that time to pause. And so for me, I had to learn to do that by going to, like you, the journal. I wrote down everything. And you from my hood, 118 too. St. Clair, baby. I'm on the other side.
Okay.
Great side. So when I growing up over there, I had to take the time to pause. One of the things I did was when I lost my job, when I was homeless, then I had to live in my sister's basement on the cot, I would go to the Lake Erie, like Euclid Beach, and just talk to the water. This happened. This now I don't really cuss at all, but that day I was cussing. I had to let a couple MFers off and, tell some people how they were doing, but I had to get it out of my system. And then when I did, I learned to get a journal and I began to take those words and those thoughts and put them on paper. It's something when you take the words, I call it from out of the spirit, and put them on paper and you begin to look at them. It becomes a testament to you. And then when I go back and look at those journals, I got about 3 or 4 or 5 journals, and you look where I have came from then to now. And when I look back at those journals, I was like, man, I was in a bad place. And to see the progression to where I'm at now, I'm happy about that. The other thing I did, I had a group of men. I think that's one of the questions probably coming up. I have a group of men that I can go to and call at any time of the day, night. Yo, bro, this is going on. I'm about to lose my mind. I'm at the job now. If he say one more thing, I'm about to choke him out. I'm keeping it real. I'm about to choke this person out. And those men don't sugarcoat anything with me. They're very honest and say, hey, get yourself back together. Like you were saying, brother, emotional intelligence. Get back and think about what you need to do. So I think a lot of men in this current age are starting to awaken to the ability that they need to express what's going on with them and that they are going through things. I think that's important.
Before we get off the topic of mental health, I want to add that there are new adversities in front of us than ever before now. Like, you know, I sell social media management, but I really mean that for your business. Personally, I don't care that much for social media because it will deteriorate your way of practical thinking. It is all business to me in terms of its best usage. It is to sell products. And a product that they're selling to all of us is the picture of happiness, you know, and standards. And it's changing status quo. And it's affecting our mental. And like Steve alluded to, getting rest can be interpreted in so many ways. Taking rest from that sort of constant, you know, attack on your mental, you become stimulated by it. Dopamine becomes a thing when you're constantly feeding some sense of perception, and you're starting to feel loved by artificial likes and things of that nature. Black men, I remember Dave Chappelle had a funny joke. I'm not gonna get into it too much, but he said the difference between other cultures is like, one thing about black men is we had like I told you, we persecuted people. We had a resiliency when it came to mental health. We're more susceptible than anyone else now. Like we're a good thing that we're open and we're sharing because we're more susceptible to mental health distress as any other group now. Like our suicide rates are going up and things like that. And we didn't have that problem, and we were enslaved, captive people, and we still didn't have that problem. Like, you know, to the equation of, you know, other communities. So it's just, we have to address that there are other, you know, weapons formed against us at this point in time now. So we got to know what we're up against in order to know how to fight it. So before we got off the topic, I just wanted to bring that up.
That's what it was for. What I'll say is, for Girl Talk, we are transforming the narrative of what female strength looks like. Often we're told that you're not strong because you're crying, you're weak because you're having suicidal thoughts. And I think men get that even more so. Brandon shared about at 8 years old being told he couldn't cry and he ain't cried since. Craziness, right? So what my hope is that the leaders in this room are going forward with this message to transform what leadership and strength really looks like is authenticity, vulnerability, and servant leadership, right? So thank you guys for being that today. One of the things that stood out is self-care. And we're all entrepreneurs. And I've been an entrepreneur for 7 years. I've been a creative entrepreneur for 4. And when you really want it, you on a grind. You grinding. You don't rest. When I'm like, oh, I'm not working today, but I'm still content creating. I'm still scheduling. I'm still thinking. As soon as I wake up, I'm thinking. And I feel like God had to tell me, Nicole, because you don't take weekends off, you have to find your rest during the week. People who work a 9 to 5, they get weekends off. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't get weekends off. I'm working. So I got to find these pockets during the week to be like, girl, take yourself to a movie or something. You know what I'm saying? Now, the positive part is I love it. I love what I do. I am alive. I'm thriving, finalizing my novel and publishing and doing these podcasts and all that, you know. But we have to fight for our rest. So it's so encouraging to hear these gentlemen share, like, look, I'm resting. So I'm going to throw out one last question, and then we're going to hear from y'all. And we did kind of touch on this a little bit, so you don't have to share, but if there's anything else on your heart, feel free. Do you have mentors, leaders in place to assist you in your calling as a male leader? One of the reasons I'm asking this is because in our conversation for Girl Talk, the women were like, these men need mentors. They need accountability. So I want to hear from you guys if you have that. What would you like to see change in this area of your life, if anything? And are you a mentor to younger men? Because I will say in my life, I have mentors. One of them is right here in this audience right now, my godmom, Michelle. And then I'm a mentor to my goddaughter. And it is the village. So I'd like to hear from you guys on that note.
Okay. Start off again. So I definitely have quite a few mentors in multiple areas of my life. And one strong one is Sean Lee Jones, great mentor. He actually led me to Jumar, which is another mentor of mine. You know, we talk about everything, business-related stuff, even personal. You know, when he first heard about his mother, he told me, he warned me, like, you know, I'm gonna need you, And it's just critical times like that, him, you know, being open and, you know, him as a leader. I see him in different rooms, just being a leader. So it's like, man, he's really doing it. Good job, keep doing it. So, yeah. And, you know, it always inspired me, you know, having daughters. So I'm around kids naturally and their friends and, you know, being in their school. So I naturally am a leader to younger people. People contact me every time, you know, if there's something on their mind. Something about me is just easy to talk to and communicate and have a conversation with. People tell me their whole life stories, even if I don't ask for it. And a lot of times I don't. But it's just being open and, you know, being that listening ear to others, because sometimes some people don't have nobody to talk to.
I'll say this. I thank my mom, because even though she was a single black woman raising kids, my mom always kept me in the church. She kept me around some black men, around some deacons, around some men of some type of sorts, right? And I know a lot of times when you have limited resources, you got to do what's best, right? And growing up, I developed this thing where if you didn't do the very thing you were telling me to do, I won't listen. But I'm gonna listen to you, right? If you're telling me don't drink and I see you with a 40, it's not really helping me, you know what I'm saying? So I developed this complex where for the longest, I didn't believe most people when they told me something, right? Which is kind of limiting me as a black man, 'cause I'm like, well, I need somebody to look up to, right? And then you got Carl Winslow, you got the Uncle Phils, right? You got the imaginary people you look up to, right? And that's real. It's the honest truth. It's the honest truth, right? Right? And, you know, and it wasn't until I got, unfortunately, I got adulthood and I got around some amazing men who actually embodied the very thing they were telling me they were doing. And some of these guys are even younger than me. But it's irrelevant of age because these guys were doing, they were called by God to do great things and they were actually doing them. And they actually lived the very thing they were called to do. So I would say for any black man who might feel like I do, because I know a lot of black men, I ain't gonna listen to that guy. What do I really serve to him for, right? You limit yourself when you don't have mentors. And now as being a mentor myself, now, like I said, I won't tell you to do anything I wouldn't do myself. Because I live by that. Now that I love the fact that now I can now say to myself, okay, I'm not perfect, guys, but this is what I do know, and this is what I can show you, because this is what I do. But as I give myself grace to be imperfect, and we got to do the same thing for our mentors, too.
So I think I'm peculiar in the sense that I have a lot of mentors, but I've always been an observant person. So if y'all don't watch yourself, y'all might be my next mentor, because if I see, qualities that I could shadow and ask about and maybe take on, that's how I used to accumulate mentors. Notable mentors would be my grandfather, my father. My father was Nation of Islam. I'm not Muslim, but he was Nation of Islam, and he had, points about him that were very admirable, because it's a level of discipline that comes with his, just demeanor. And then he was always very kind of on the level, like calm and cool and collected. So I pulled that. I'm like the youngest of a lot of siblings. So I knew the good parts to pull and the parts to leave off in terms of like how I was going to kind of create who I was. I knew what getting you in trouble would, so I didn't take those, or at least I was more stealthy about them, so I pulled that. I'm always just looking at someone's character and asking questions. So don't be afraid to ask people questions if you like something about them. And they're going to be a mentor in a sense to you. Am I someone's mentor? Yes. I know that I am, because somebody's watching you sometimes. It's not a bad thing to be a role model. Just tell people that you're human too. You know what I'm saying? And if it's something about you that they like and they want to continue to grow from, and you're good at that part, because it's not a farce. It's like, no, you like that part about me, and I am that. Then continue to nurture them with that. And I'm a mentor, like my nephew. I have a lot of siblings. Two of my siblings passed young in life. One of my siblings that passed was my sister in 2017. She was 42, pulmonary embolism. Took her out of here, and her son was 15. I raised him the rest of the way. I know he looks up to me. He doesn't have a father figure beyond that. That's more tangible. Steve is only 5 years my junior, but he's so vulnerable to say that he wants to learn. And the funny story with him is when we were doing a project, his original mentor, Sean Jones, was like, I got this kid, man. He wants to come out. I'm like, we ain't got no money for him. Like, I was like, we can't. It's like, we got 7 people on this job. I was being like, man. It was a job in Akron, and I'm like, he could come, but he can't expect to get paid. Man, this dude came, and he outworked everybody, and he wasn't expecting anything he wasn't expecting anything. And I'm like, what I say, Steve, when we broke down, I was like, I got to pay you out of my pocket. Yeah. I have to pay you out of, not what the job yielded, but what I have to pay you out of. And we've been and now, you know what I'm saying? This is on camera, but everybody else who's worked with me, he's risen up to be he's the person you talk to for production at Lawn Charts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But he considers me his mentor, you know what I'm saying? But I'm grateful for him. So it's like, it's relationships. It's like you just see what you can learn from somebody, but your parents are your mentors. I had a great mentor, and a lady, God rest her soul, named Sally Roseman. She showed me how to manage a business with culture. She was an old Jewish lady. She wasn't that old, but she was an old Jewish lady who was more so radical. And so you never know where your mentors are going to come from. You know what I mean? But you just have to be observant and see where you can pull from. And what was the last part of that question? Because I just go on tears, don't I?
I think you answered them. Do you have accountability in place?
Do I have? No, I don't know. I just I do what I can, and I hope that it's helpful, and I just try not to be a detriment. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to sour somebody's view of you. You try not to be detrimental. But other than that, like, there's no bylaws. It's like, hey, you look up to me, cool. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And any of my virtues that you might find to be, something that you want to lift them. Don't follow me over here when I do my vices. That's my accountability.
So I gotta apologize because I lied, y'all. I lied about something. So I did do a panel discussion about 2 months ago with Idea Stream. I know I said it was 2 years ago. It was 2 months ago. So I gotta fact check. I I always like to fact check. Anything I say, I want y'all to just go back and check it out. So I lied about that. It was 2 months ago and not 2 years ago. Role models. Just imagine this, right? So just imagine you just living in the middle of the hood. You in the projects. You grew up, all your friends, everybody living in the projects, and you would go off and you say, hey, I'm going to start a mental health therapy service, right? In a space where they say niggas don't go to therapy, right? Everybody like, I don't need therapy. I'm not doing that. I'm cool. So just imagine and say, I'm going to start a mental health group therapy service, and I'm going to invite therapists to the projects and sit in with us and talk to us about our problems, right? So nobody believed in what I was doing. In fact, everybody laughed at me. I kind of laughed at myself. So what I'm trying to say is like, I don't have any role models because nobody has ever done what I've done in my community, right? Nobody have ever started a mental health therapy service, bringing in 9 therapies with various forms of therapy, gaining a partnership with Tri-C, gaining a partnership with Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland Public Libraries. I had no blueprint on how to do this, and I'm still learning every day on the way, right? So it's tough for me to talk to anybody because nobody has ever done this. I can't even go outside the city. I got people in Atlanta and Chicago. I just had a guy from Atlanta at Ghetto Therapy like a month ago in February named Big Bank. Anybody familiar with Big Bank? Big Bank Perspectives. He was in here, right? So I'm rocking with guys in Atlanta and Chicago just trying to figure this thing out because nobody has ever done this. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough for me, man. So I don't have any role models because I'm the one who actually created what I'm doing. So I have to become that person to other people, right? So with that being said, it's also like mentoring kids, right? So when I think of me being a mentor to a kid, I went to John Adams. Y'all remember when the young guy got killed at the bus stop? His name was Pierre. I went to John Adams to speak. I went to John Adams. I went to Ted Ginn. I went to Central Catholic, and I went to a school called Legacy, which is closed now, right? So I went to all of these schools. I was doing like kind of a tour. I was doing a tour, and I was talking about redlining, right? And, you know, people say redlining is a recycled conversation, right? And it is, but it's only recycled amongst organizations who can pack it up and put it in a PowerPoint and sell it to the people. But the people who actually are affected by redlining don't know one thing about it, right? So when I went to these schools and I talked to these kids about redlining, only one kid out of 300 combined. It was 300 students out of those 4 schools I named combined. I did the data and everything. 300 students. Only one kid said something small about it, and he talked about the war. They never knew nothing about Public Works Administration and Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1933. They never knew nothing about the FHA, the Federal Housing Act. They didn't know anything about the laws and legislations that was impoverishing them strategically, but they lived in these communities. Right? So I did that same presentation at a school called Laurel in Shaker Heights. It was 15 students. And out of those 15 students, 8 of them knew Public Works Administration almost better than me. Right? And I was like, dang. So they were already creating solar panels. So they were learning how to be philanthropists in the 9th grade. They were learning how to create the same solar panels that they create in the Morris Black. They were learning how to create those solar panels. So what I found out is how the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor is through philanthropy. Right? So they're in suburban schools learning how to create benefits, learning how to create solutions around our social determinants of health. Meanwhile, the kids in CMSD are learning how to be the social determinants of health because all we had was ROTC. Now, there's no knock to nobody who went to the Army, Air Force, or the Navy. But it's like, wow, we can't learn how to create environmental justice like how they creating environmental justice in Shaker Heights. Right? So we turn to basketball, football, rap, because that's all they advocate for us. But they don't know that you can make $250,000, $1 million creating a sustainable living inside of your own environment through philanthropy and nonprofit. I never learned about nonprofit work until I was 30 years old. I'm 37. And I'm not saying nonprofit is the solution to everything because it's not, right? But I'm saying it's one of them. And I've been the most successful. I dropped out in the 11th grade. And I couldn't get jobs for my record, right? But America is a capitalistic country to where you won't get a job for, you know what I'm saying, your felony, but you can make more money than that job that denied you by creating your own organization based off that same felony, right? So America is a capitalistic country, and it's telling you, start your own thing. Yeah, they ain't going to hire you at that space making $15 an hour, but you can create that same organization that you went to jail for and get millions of dollars for doing so. Right? So what I'm saying is when I went to these schools to talk to these kids, they didn't know anything about the laws and the legislations that's hindering them. But the kids that was creating the solutions around them knew everything about it. So at Ghetto Therapy, we just had a whole session called Design Your Hood, right? And I got a young guy, and there was a whole bunch of young kids. It was about 30 young kids. And they all created organizations, nonprofits, based off of their community. These kids created like something called the Good Hood, the total opposite of the projects, where they was just creating like all healthy initiatives, food access, grocery store delivery services. They was creating all kind of things because that's what I told them to do. Like, we don't learn this in school. We don't learn how to create environmental justice because guess what? Because they want us to continue to be the social determinants of health that nonprofits profit off of. We are the lick. In the projects and in the ghettos, we are the lick. And if we learn how to create those same things that they're creating, then guess who don't get funded? They don't get funded, we get funded. That's right. So, yeah, I have a lot of kids that I'm mentoring. One of the kids, his name is Dewan, and I took him to a podcast, and he talked about gun violence. And the next day he got into a shootout, and I was right there. And I'm like, man, I don't even understand the realness of this. Like, we sitting in these podcasts and talking and all this, but like this young guy is in it every day, and he called me every day. He didn't even have an ID. I just took him to get an ID last week, and he just wanted a job. He called me, he's screaming, flipping out. He don't have a lick of emotional intelligence. And I didn't have it either at 19. But he crying and screaming. I picked him up in Garden Valley. He had a gun, and he had his baby mother in the back. And he yelling back and forth for her. He got this gun, and he just poking it to his head. And he just flipping out, and he on my passenger seat. So I took his baby mother home, and he tried to get out. I grabbed him. I didn't say anything to confront him in front of that young lady because you won't talk about a man in front of a woman, right? That's the last thing you do. If you know anything about emotional intelligence, you know don't confront a man in front of his woman. So when she got out, I grabbed him. I said, stay in the car. We rode around. We talked for 30 minutes. And you know what he did? He put that gun down. He cried. He gave me a hug, and he got out the car. And he was cool ever since. You know what I'm saying? But like shit like that, that's the real work. I say all the time, I don't have a 9 to 5. I got a 24/7. That's what I do all day, every day. And I still live in the projects to this day. Not because I can't afford to get out. It's because I know I need to be there. When we was coming up, we had Dare and all that type of shit in there. It was cool because we seen them cats once a year. But when we went back to the home, we was looking up to the drug dealers. We was looking up to the athletes. We was looking up to them. We ain't see them dudes in Dare no more that year. So I stay in the projects purposely because when they see me on TV, I got 14 news stories, NAACP awards, everything, documentaries. They knock on my door and they say, Walt, come outside. And I go outside and I play with them because I know that that's needed. I didn't have that when I was coming up. So, yeah.
It's real.
I mean, how do you follow that? I mean, salute to you, brother. Seriously.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, man, I didn't meet you till today, but I've seen you for a long time. I've been adjacent. Like the sister that I said just passed, she raised her sons in Garden Valley. I was in Garden Valley every weekend acting like I was something because I was from St. Clair until they run to jump me, and then, I had to get But when I speak about the disparity, we are all black people, we're all, from the black community, and most of us in this room are black people. But in the city of Cleveland, the projects of the city is a second city. Am I right to say that? You know what I'm saying? And this man don't get enough credit because it's another class of discriminated in the people. And I told him when I met him in the parking lot, man, and then when we got in here, I know it's probably a thankless job, but he is helping some of the most downtrodden of our people. And I just gotta get this man another round of applause because he just went off.
Once again, I have to say I commend every man up here first. Let me say that. Let me throw my hat in the pot too and say I honor all of you men. You guys are younger than me, but I honor you on the journey that y'all have taken this far. Y'all have as I sit in this seat, have mentored me without even knowing it. Because I get to look at a different perspective of life that I've never heard before through men who are from my city. Mentors are people who shorten the distance to the goal that you want to get to. Let me say that again. Mentors are people who shorten the distance to the goal that you want to accomplish. Everyone in here has an opportunity to be a mentor to someone else, to shorten the distance to get to the place so they get to the place they need to be. Do I have mentors? I've been having mentors since the day I was born. My father, may he rest in peace. I had men of God. You said church. I had guys in the streets. I have one now. He calls me every single day to make sure that I'm accountable to do the right thing about myself, my relationship with God, and everyone around me. And do I mentor others? I have two people that I mentor since they came into this earth, and that's my two sons. I cannot mentor the earth, mentor everyone else, if I have not taken the time to pour and water my own seed. I've seen many men who are giving their life and save the whole world while their house burned to the ground. I know pastors, teachers, prophets, you name an evangelist, who have done everything for God's name while their children go insane. So I mentor my sons. I pour into them. I have one son who's in the military. I have another one who's about to graduate from an Ivy League school in May. So we talk about mentor. It's not just, matter of fact, and even my brother, his father was a mentor, Stone. So when we talk about mentors, sometimes it's not what they're saying, it's the lifestyle they're living. And many times we mirror what they're doing. And so I'm grateful for the men that's up here because you guys just mirrored to me black male excellence. The way you articulated how you felt and what you went through, that's mentor to me. I'm thankful for you guys. I don't got really much else to say today. I can't go any further but to say thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Whew, okay. Deep breaths. Thank you guys so much for entrusting us with your stories. As a storyteller, I thrive off of other people's stories, and to hear the male perspective is an extra treat. I'll give you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes. I had visualized this over 3 months ago, and I made my little vision board, and I put these men on my little Canva flyer, and I snuck their pictures off social media and copy and pasted and did all the things, right? And did a blog and said, where are the male leaders? And had a meeting with Walt the very next day and ran into Lawrence. And, you know, it was just confirmation, and had heard about Ghetto Therapy and honestly knew there will be a collab, not even knowing all the other ways it would impact my purpose. But to see it manifest, I want to encourage you, write the vision down and make it plain. And when it's the right time, because timing is a big deal, okay? It's like that. Whew, that was one meaty discussion. As you guys know, we have those kinds of talks all the time, but to hear from the men was something else. It was like our counterparts were echoing the things we say and feel, and I know it was life-giving for all who were in attendance. I hope you feel the same. One of the highlights that was shared was when Walt said that leadership has no gender. I thought that was such profound insight, especially coming from a man. He actually shared that with me when we first met one-on-one last year, and I was blown away then. I feel like it's a progressive mindset in this world of egos, misogynism, sexism, and all the isms. Truly, we can't get to where we're going as a community if women and men aren't working together, which is another reason I wanted to invite the men to this space. We need our counterparts to really see transformation. Some encouraging shares the men gave in regards to tending to their mental health were journaling, therapy, rest, turning off their phones, getting off social media, utilizing their friend circle, and more. Sound familiar? We've echoed all those statements here at Girl Talk, but it's so good to know others are on the same track. I love when Steven, aka Alien, shared that he has folks check in with him asking, "Did you get rest?" I know I need to do better about doing that with my folks. How about you? I also appreciated when Lauren said that any good song needs a pause before the next note. How often are we pausing in our lives before expressing that next note? Jumar also shared that social media is a new adversity to our mental health. Whew, I had never heard it pronounced that way, but his insight definitely resonates. I realized one day how up and down my emotions were from scrolling on my timeline. One minute I was rejoicing because somebody had a baby, and the next I was crying because someone's loved one died. It's so easy to have our senses, hearts, and minds influenced by the influx of content we're taking in, and we don't even realize it. As an introvert and someone who uses social media for business, I honestly don't have the capacity to scroll much, look at stories, and engage, and that's what keeps me balanced. Okay, so there was so much more shared in this conversation. Some of the men admitted to having mentors and being mentors, but others didn't have that experience. Walt opened up a lot about the work he's doing in the inner city and how Ghetto therapy is a platform for mentorship, one I've been personally involved in and touched by. Some men have had to look up to TV characters to find mentors, but whatever method used, the resounding message was that mentors are most effective by demonstrating with their actions and lives. In Lawrence's definition, that mentors are people who shorten the distance to your goal really tied a bow on the topic for me. To close out, I want to acknowledge that Walt brings something special to the table by educating and empowering us on knowledge of those in the inner city. Our youth in our communities are even more greatly affected by the oppressive racist systems of this nation in this time. Our being knowledgeable and pulling together can create grassroots efforts to transform our environments. Walt's testimony is finding philanthropy and entrepreneurship as sustainable resources for purpose, provision, and community impact. I hope you, dear friend, are finding the same. I hope you are finding your tribe, finding your mentors, finding your counterparts to do life with. And even if in real life you haven't yet found that footing, know that we are here for you at Girl Talk. So, that concludes our final discussion, Something for the Fellas. But guess what? We have a special episode up next where we'll hear from these men in our Girl Talk one-on-one conversation. Just as you guys have gotten to tap in to last season's Girl Talk 101, you'll get to again. So make sure to subscribe to catch it as soon as it's available. And share this discussion with the man in your life that you know needs it. And remember, I attract amazing women doing amazing things. So guess what, sis? That means you're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. To continue the conversation, join our Girl Talk community by following @GirlTalkCLE on Instagram and Facebook.com/HTOHB, where you can join the Girl Talk Facebook group. You can follow me personally on Instagram @HTOHB, on Facebook.com/HTOHB, and at YouTube.com/@HTOHB. Feel free to reach out via email info@indiemillerpublishing.com. If you're a writer who wants to take the next steps into becoming a published author, You can book a one-on-one consultation at ndmiller.pub. Just let me know you heard about my publishing house through Girl Talk, and I'll give you a 50% discount on our one-on-one. If you'd like weekly inspirational nuggets, you can subscribe to my blog and monthly newsletter at NicoleDmiller.com, where you can learn more about me and my writings. Till next time.